Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my LinkedIn Lives. I'm Jasmine Navarro, certified wellbeing expert, working with educational institutions and companies, helping them support their family wellbeing challenges. As you know, every week I interview different experts who make a difference. And today I'm super excited to be interviewing Emma Wright again. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for contacting me. We were meant to have this conversation, weren't we, a while ago, and the stars have perfectly aligned. It's just the perfect time, as always.
Exactly. It all happens at the right time. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
So it's a really great question because I've had a really big shift it's probably over the last 12 months, but I would describe myself as a wealth empowerment coach. I really help people to master all aspects of their wealth. And I talk a lot about what wealth is. Wealth isn't just about the physical aspects, the things that are outside of you, like money, investments. I've got pensions background. I used to be a stock trader. Wealth is way more than that. It's about your well-being, your energy, abundance, the life you lead, the time you spend, and it's about your health. And that's one of the big shifts. I can talk about that today. But when it comes to wealth empowerment, I help people to first and foremost understand what life they want to lead. And then I help them to create the financial and the business strategies to support that best life and give them the tools to go on and do it for themselves.
Wow, it sounds absolutely phenomenal. To be honest, it sounds like something we could all do with. It seems like you can never have too much of that, I think. But now I'm really excited to talk today. And so the title you chose was Live a Life You Love and Have a Massive Impact, which sounds so passionate as well. Can you tell us about this and why you chose it for today and what does it mean and everything to you?
I always say there's two things that we came to this earth for a reason, whether you are spiritual or whether you're not, right? It's undeniable that we came here for two things. We've come to live a life that we love, right? But then we end up living a life of comfort, or we end up living a life that is kind of mapped out for us. Like maybe we were born into a certain way of life, and we think that wealth especially isn't for us. Or even if we have money, we're not feeling the way that we should because we're not in alignment with the life that we want to lead. Maybe we don't want to live that life of fast cars. We actually want to live a life of yoga and downward dogs, right? So number one, the biggest thing that I want to really empower people to do, regardless of money, time, and energy, and all of that, is to start thinking about the life you want to lead and making it in alignment with what you truly love. And then number two is that we came here to make an impact, right? We came here to unleash something into the world. And whether we do that through our careers, working for somebody else, it's making sure that the businesses that we launch or the careers that we are in are the ones that we came here to do. Because often we fall into jobs, we fall into financial planning, or we fall into being a doctor or being a solicitor or being a nurse or being something because maybe it's the family career or it was where we were brought up, and it's not in alignment with what we love. And we find it hard to make the shift because it's out of our comfort zone, right? So, wherever you are on your journey, fundamentally, you came here to leave an impact and to leave a legacy and live that life that you love. So, yes, I'm very passionate about this because I want to help people to see that wherever they are on that journey, that they can create that shift. That I've created a shift that was really hard for me, and I'd never get you to do anything that I'm not prepared to do for myself. But fundamentally, that if we're not doing the things that we are passionate about and that we love, we are never going to have the pursuit of happiness that we are all trying to find. And it's actually, Jasmine, and this is one of the things that I love, it's really simple to achieve. Often we just need to slow down and give ourselves the time to
Yeah.
do a little bit of the work.
Amazing. No, I love everything that you're saying, and you can see that you're very passionate about it. And I think you're right. It's about simplicity, isn't it? But sometimes it's simple, yeah, but not easy. But anyway, tell us, where do we start, or should we talk about the challenges first? Maybe they're connected.
I think what you just said is it's not easy, and I think that is the biggest challenge. It's simple. It's so simple to start to create a shift. One of the biggest challenges that we have is admitting what we really want. Because
Yeah.
what you really want might be going against what society tells you or what you are doing, or it could be, leaving a career, or it could be leaving a marriage, right? It could be making choices that go against maybe somebody else's happiness. And the not easiness, and this isn't always the case, but it is one of the biggest blockers and the biggest challenges, is that it's going to be a big step outside of comfort zone to admit what it is. Even just admitting it to yourself can be really challenging.
Oh, yeah.
And then having the belief, because if it's something that's outside of yourself, or it's something that is that kind of feels like a unicorn goal, then it's the belief that that's never going to be for me. And I would say the belief system, and you are so, being a well-being expert and being so into the mindset, the mind is the biggest blocker.
Yeah.
Your mind, your fear-based system is your biggest blocker to wealth empowerment.
And you're right. Definitely, it's all about beliefs, isn't it? And the thing is, if you have those beliefs, then you're not probably even going to try, are you? So then nothing will ever change. So yes, I completely agree with everything you're saying. So what would you say then to people who are watching? They realize they're not living the life that they really want. They're feeling fed up, but don't know how to change anything because they have to keep going and they need to finish that. They need to carry on with life, I think, or in survival mode. I think a lot of us can be in survival mode. So where do we sort of start into living the life that we love?
Really great question. Because when we're in survival mode, let's talk a little bit about what that is, because I think it's understanding how we are kind of conditioned to live first and foremost, because then it gives us that sense of it's actually not my fault. And one of the biggest things when we're in survival mode, we're usually stressed out, in anxiety, feeling really bad about ourselves, because fundamentally we constantly shame and blame ourselves. We carry this massive guilt and shame, especially if we should have it all, or we've been given the qualifications, the career, we've been given this, really amazing university career, you've got it all, and you're constantly being shamed. Maybe you're doing the work as well. I work with a lot of men. I have a real passion to support men in this space, because there's this big pressure to be providing, and then you come home, maybe you come home from working and nobody appreciates what you're already doing. So you're in this kind of mode of feeling really, really, really bad about yourself. So just know, first and foremost, that social conditioning isn't your fault. You are, we're living from the mind. We're 95% of the time unconscious, and our autopilots are keeping us in this loop of survival. And survival is, when we're in survival, when we're stressed, it's constant fight, flight, and freeze stimulation. We have this like ancient fight, flight, and freeze within ourselves that was great in the caveman days, but not so great in the modern world, where all the threats that we are seeing are coming home because we're not going to be appreciated, or worrying that our boss is going to not tell us that we're good enough. And it's then because we're looking constantly for that external validation, and that is the problem. External validation. Once you shift on this journey, you realize I don't need any external validation, but that is a place to get to. You're never going to get that. So you're in this constant looping of, okay, I believe I'm not good enough. And usually the biggest belief is I'm not good enough. And then, that triggers the hormones of cortisol, adrenaline, all of the threat things that puts us into fight, flight, and freeze. And this is happening all the time. This is just anxiety. We're told that anxiety is normal. By the way, anxiety is not normal. It's a new age way of being. And then it feeds the habit of avoidance, avoiding going home, or avoiding the boss, or avoiding the emails, or avoiding the tax return, avoiding doing the money work, avoiding looking at the wealth. All of the avoidance that we fall into. And then the cycle continues. And over time, and this is why I'm working with athletes, or I'm working with athletic entrepreneurs, because what we do is when we're in this survival mode, we go into over functioning, we hide it, we mask it massively.
Yeah.
We don't want to admit that we are so stressed out and so overwhelmed that we carry on in this kind of cycle. But then we go into the gym, and then we kind of like, okay, I'm going to balance it out with my health and well-being. And so we're like also training our bodies, overtraining our bodies, and it can lead to massive burnout. It can lead to the whole body burning out. So I think the biggest thing is to see what's going on, that we're in these cycles. The mind is this fear-based system, and we're forcing the body, all of the minor little stresses that we're going through are going into the body takes the score. And so we start to feel aches and pains, we start to ache, or we start to get arthritis, or we start to get autoimmune disease, because we're in constant fight, flight, and freeze over time, anxiety, and then something's got to go. And
yes,
it's just not an option to be in. So first and foremost, when we start to understand the science of how we've been conditioned to live, and we don't have to live like this is a really great awareness. We can create a different way of being where we don't have this, but it's not our fault. It's not your fault.
I love that. Oh, we've got a question. Sorry, Emma, let me just go
That's
to
okay.
Tara on Instagram. Hi, Tara. Thank you for joining. Tara says, what money belief did you change that's made you successful?
That is a great question, right? We can't, one thing I would say is we can't change beliefs. You have beliefs. We cannot change. These things are so in our brains. We can't change. We have to work with things. We have to create new beliefs. We can rewire the brain over time. It's really hard to change a belief. But one of the biggest things that I have shifted on is realizing that money's come and go, right? And accepting a lot of these things and raising my consciousness of what I believe, or what beliefs are, because beliefs are limiting at times, but also beliefs can be for you. There's always one of the beautiful things that I learned in some of my financial coaching certifications is that there's two sides to every story, right? If I believe that money, let's just take that money is come and go. The challenge is that I fear that money is going to leave, and then I'm going to go after money. Or if I believe that money is come and go, then I'm going to work harder for it. So it pushes me. I don't believe that there's good and bad. We are convinced, we're told that there's good and bad in everything, but it's the awareness of it. A big shift that I made, though, is not having attachment to my self-worth. Money is not me. Money is a currency, an energy. I am not money. I am worthy
Emma.
of money. I am Emma. Well, I am Emma in this life. If I go super spiritual, I don't really attach myself to kind of things like that. But fundamentally, I am whatever I want to be, but I am definitely
In the
not
moment.
me.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love what you said about, one belief could be money comes and goes, because then it's all about going with the flow of things, being in the moment and not having that attachment to anything, because you're just in the moment and the moment's going to change. So there's no point being attached to anything. And oh, hi Artie, how are you doing? She says, thank you both. It's brilliant to be part of this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, Artie. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Please let us know any comments or questions. But yeah, carry on, Emma, because you're really getting me motivated here.
Yeah. I mean, this topic is huge. It is a huge topic, and sometimes we start scratching the surface on some of these things because it is like a mind pit, and I want to bring it back. You know, sometimes it is quite overwhelming. And what you've just said, Jasmine, is so beautiful in the sense of we know what we're stuck in. We know we have all of these beliefs. It is really important to be in the moment. A big shift that we can create is if we realize the mind is a beautiful system, it's a fear-based system, but we have to come into the moment. When we take that time to take a step back and we start to live in gratitude of the money we have, of the money we're making, of the time that we have, of our body, just the way it is, of everything that's in our lives, from the relationships to the clients. When we start to be present, because there's a lot of you know, kind of things that we can look at into words. It's a gift. The present moment is the gift, and we're, especially with financial planning and business planning and wealth, we are constantly striving for the future. We want to build wealth. We want to have the next best thing. We want to create all the things for the future. And then we forget to live in the present moment, and there is only ever today. And it's a big power. One of the biggest things that I do when I'm working with someone is I get them to look at how they are spending their time, energy, and money in the now moment, and start to think about financial freedom as not something we're building for the future. I call that financial independence. We're working towards independence maybe in the future, but freedom is now. We are keeping ourselves, and this will probably trigger people because it's really easy for us to blame other people, again, blaming outside of ourselves for the victim of not being wealthy. And then we start looking for beliefs to blame even the beliefs, and we start being that victim. But fundamentally, we have the ability to do all of the changes, and we need to start raising that intentionality and that awareness of how we are spending our time, energy, and money in the now moment to create freedom. And that's financial freedom is right now. It's looking at what we want to be, do, and have right now. You know, if you want to be, I would get curious about this. Sometimes I think one of the best things you can do is just write down with a blank piece of paper to give yourself that gift of time on your own without any external kind of things coming in. What do you want to be, right, in your life? What do you want to be? I want to be happy. Well, what does that mean? What does being happy mean? What makes you happy? What does being wealthy actually mean to you? Because when you get really curious about being wealthy, say, you know, I want to be, you know, I want to be happy, I want to be abundant. Well, what do I need to do in order to do that? And you start thinking about some amazing life-changing goals. And these are not bucket lists for the future. This is how you need to be living your life every day. It's for me, you know, when I started doing this, I kept going, yeah, I want to go on holiday. I'm like, well, what about my life here? What do I want to do with my life from the moment that I wake up to the moment that I go to bed?
Yes.
And then in order to do that, I think about then, well, what do I want to have in order to do that in my present moment? And it's like making sure that you embody who you want to be right now. It's not something that you have to create and do for the future. It's really believing, well, I am already wealthy. I am already this person. I get to choose in this moment who to show up for myself And it's like, I remember we met in Synergy Women, right, years ago, and Amanda O'Rourke did this, always told me, change your energy, change your life.
Oh, totally.
We have to embody everything that we want to be, do, and have in this moment now, and bring it into this moment in order to create the shifts.
Oh, definitely. 100%. And also, no, I love everything, and I agree with everything that you're saying. And also, if you sort of, like you were saying before, like we're planning for the future, you're literally putting your life on hold.
Yeah.
Aren't you? You're not, like you said, you're not living, you're putting your life on hold. And that's another thing that I'm really learning now, is not to wait for things. Do whatever it is now. Don't wait. Oh, wait for the good time, wait for that, wait for this. No, don't wait for it.
And if you have to wait, is it for you right now? Because sometimes we feel, I speak to a lot of people where they're in a really challenging situation, right? Maybe they're going through a really difficult time. And we hear a lot of that in the negativity in the news, right? Cost of living crisis. There are wars in the world, we cannot ignore some of the things that are going on in our lives, So look at what it is that really makes you happy, really brings that fulfillment, really brings wealth into you that's already around you in abundance, that's, maybe on your doorstep, but you've not taken the time to even notice what is already in front of your nose. If you're having to wait for it, why is that? Your life isn't happening to you. It's often happening for you.
Totally. So
that you can create a shift of not having to wait.
Exactly. It's a mindset shift, actually. It doesn't mean you need to be impatient and make that thing happen. It's don't look at it as if you're waiting. I didn't explain myself right. But also, oh, hi, Herman. How are you doing? It's one of my old students from a long time ago. And he says, important question, because what makes me happy will not make another person happy. And I think, again, when you're asking yourself these questions and sitting down with yourself, getting curious, you're going to learn more things, aren't you, about yourself, and deepen your awareness, and maybe open your mind a little bit to think a different way, and you'll experience different things because you've got a new perspective. So it's all
Jasmine, I think that's what Herman has just said, that's a really great question, because what makes you happy may not make somebody else happy. And you've always got to ask yourself, what is it that you love? And sometimes what you love, if it's not going to make somebody else happy, is that person right for you? Are you in the right circles? Are you in the right dynamic? This is not an easy choice to make. Your happiness has got to come first to you, because if you are avoiding being happy in order to make somebody else happy, you're going to go through your life with resentment. You're going to be bitter. You're going to become a person that you don't like anymore, because you're going to become really unhappy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And then you make the other person unhappy anyway.
Exactly, because maybe they're doing the same. Maybe they're mirroring you, because
probably.
And a lot of the time we avoid talking about the things that really make us happy, because we don't want to upset the other person. They could be doing exactly the same. We're not bringing these things to the surface.
Yeah.
And so, Herman, I would say the biggest thing that you could do is just to really think about what makes you happy, and sitting down with yourself, as Jasmine said, and spending that time to think about what it is that you want to create in your life that's going to bring you happiness, and start just bringing little bits of that into your life. Even if it's an hour a day of something that makes you happy,
exactly. You've got to start with something small, haven't you? You really have to start with something small. Like, I don't know about you, but I've really started to look into more, like, sorry, I interrupted you. I really started to look more about into micro habits. That really tiny changes. Otherwise, I can't do it. It's too overwhelming. And then you sort of open whole neuro pathways, don't you? And then you're like, oh, actually, I can do something else now. And you just build and build and build. And it's,
one of the books that I was really encouraged to read early on in my own journey, as I was becoming a wealth empowerment coach, was the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. And, you know, that book is like, it's such a wonderfully written book, because we think that just making our bed in the morning is really boring. But if you just think about that for a second, Jasmine, because sometimes we are, when we're in overwhelm, when we're in stress, when we're in anxiety, when we're in survival, we end up with chaos around us. We end up with hoarding things, clutter, washing up, inboxes, that avoidance of tax, everything becomes an absolute mess. If we were taught to, from the moment we wake up, to make our bed, to brush our teeth, to wash up after ourselves, to not put it off, to then make some lunch, Atomic Habits, little micro things, and then to do 10 minutes of yoga and breath work before we go on and do our jobs, to then treat our jobs as a luxury, you know, rather than thinking I've got to do these jobs, to then do things strategically in those little orders, to create our life in this micro habits of abundance, to see everything as a gift. I get to make my bed. I've got a bed that's really comfortable. And then you go home and your bed's made, right? It seems silly, but those micro changes of shifts are profound, because then all of a sudden you realize that you've got space to breathe, and you're not thinking about making your bed anymore. Because one of the problems is, if you don't have a habit that is healthy, like 10 minutes of yoga in the morning, if you don't have, and yoga might not be a thing, by the way, I'm just picking on my own things here, and that's what Herman said, what makes me happy doesn't make you happy, and that's absolutely fine. But if you know, at the minute you start doing something, it's not a habit. It takes a long time for you to create a habit, and that's why you need to break things down and bring those little micro things in that's going to raise your wealth, raise your well-being, raise your energy, raise your abundance, your gratitude, change your lifestyle every day, create more time and have more health. My wheel of wealth, right? Really think about those little micro shifts. Pick one thing and just do it for a really, really long time.
Exactly. No, I love that. We're running out of time, but just want to say, Grace says, Atomic Habits is a great book and sells quickly with us. Thank you, Grace, for joining. And Herman says, hi, Jasmine, I missed you in your classes. I missed you too, Herman, and I loved our classes. Right. Now, okay, Emma, we're running out of time. We could definitely talk about this for the next, I don't know how long, because it's so fascinating, and I love your energy.
There's so much to it.
Yeah, but we're running out of time. So what else would you like to say before you go? If you could leave just one, I mean, you have mentioned so many amazing takeaways, but is there anything else you want to say that you feel like you haven't mentioned, and how can people find you?
Really, really great question. You know, I would say don't wait. You know, we talked about weight and energy. Do not wait to work on your wealth. All the things that we've talked about. Do not wait, because if you wait, you will hit burnout. Your wealth is not a luxury. It is your gift. The time is now. You can work on it in so many micro ways. Just don't wait to think that, okay, I need to start in the future. Take the action now. I mean, ways to find me. I've got a YouTube show called The Wealth Rebel Show. You can find me on Instagram at The Wealth Rebel. I'm Emma Wright on LinkedIn. Find me all in these places, and then you'll find the links to kind of learn more about these things with me.
No, brilliant. Can you put all the links on the post so people can just click on your YouTube channel, and all of that? Amazing, amazing.
No problem.
No, thank you so much, Emma. It's been amazing seeing you. And thank you, everybody, for joining. We loved your questions and comments. And if you have any more questions and comments, please message Emma directly, or you can put a comment or question on the post. And thank you so much, Emma. It's great to see you as always. And I will see everybody else next week.
Namaste.